what we're doing today is finally, after like nearly 2 years of having it, is relocating the battery. And the reason we're doing that is because, well, there is a single Terpsky right there, and I'm waiting to reveal that. But I relocated the oil catch can, and the battery would still clear here, but need a upgraded fuel relay. And for an upgraded fuel relay, you can either get it from Wiring Specialties, and you can get it in two options. You can get it in with the battery relocated in the trunk, or you can get it with the battery where it is OEM. And it's just easier because I'm doing the fuel pump to keep all the wiring for the fuel in the rear, and rather than running a 10-foot long lead underneath the car. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and let's get into it. Things you're gonna need are obviously battery terminals. I don't know how to crimp these because they're like solid cast aluminum, so I'm guessing you just crimp them down with a hammer crimper or hydraulic crimper. I don't know. We will figure this out as we go. You'll need a circuit breaker. I just bought a 300 amp one on Amazon, and it trips like in milliseconds. So I figured for the starter, 300 is probably plenty. It's also overkill, and I should probably maybe get a 200. Yeah, it's fine. And then you're going to need about probably 10-15 feet of cable. I think this is 20 feet. Honestly don't remember. It's been probably 2 years. But this is pure copper. A lot of times the stuff you find is copper coated aluminum, which if you see on the cable description as CCA, that's what it is. It's not pure copper. That was pure copper. It's like 150 bucks 2 years ago. And then I found out you can use regular welding cable for half that. So yeah, that's okay. It's getting used. And how we have to route it is this way. Do it a couple different ways. I'm using this vacuum hose as like a little test piece, which is right there. And it's right there. And there's a hole right there that it comes out of underneath the booster bracket. And I'm going to run it underneath the brake booster. And I'm going to secure it against the frame rail, come up here, and I already have it ready to be battery relocated. I just haven't obviously ran all the cable. So I'm curious on where I want to mount this at in here, because there's a ground right there. I'm thinking I want to put it right here, but there's also a ground here, so I'm worried they'll touch. So I have to figure that out. I might end up making a bracket like this or something to keep it off the chassis, and then rubber insulate it. But if you come underneath here, you have to pull your fender liner out, and a lot of times this chassis will get worn through if you're running a lot of camber. I'm not, but I am going to run about 3 degrees when I track it, so I don't want to put anything up there. So if you come over here, that is where it's going to run up to if you decide to do what I did. If you just decide to use the wiring harness, you can zip tie it to it up there. And then this grommet is going to go through the firewall, and it will come out up there behind all this stuff. And you'll come down and you will route it underneath all this carpet. You have to take all this trim off, which you'll see here in a second. And then it goes through that hole right there. So, and then we will tackle that once we get there. You do have to take your driver's seat and your back seat out. Alright, so if you don't know how to remove the back seats, all you have to do is, there's two, I believe they're 10mm bolts underneath on the left and right side. You remove those and then you just pop it up, and then same situation on the back seat, and you just lift up on it and it comes out. It does take some effort, and then you also have to remove all these side panels with just a Phillips screwdriver. And alright, so don't do what I just did. Before you route it through there, you have to put it through here, because you have to go underneath the here. So if you look, that is routed underneath the trunk and gas pedal release, and it is through here. And then now these just clip back on. Same thing with this. It is routed right in this little pocket. Comes up over here, which you can probably see. Yep, right there. And then goes down underneath of here, comes underneath here, and goes back. You also have to be mindful of the trunk release latch and route that with that. And now we're continuing out, but that's just a little helpful hint because I routed it all the way through there and then I had to pull it back out. So to route this first is because you have to make sure this cable is on top of the cable. Make sure that this cable is on top of it so nothing gets snagged. And also this tape just pulls off, kind of crappy, but I'm just going to zip tie these together and then it runs down through there and into the trunk. So we have to put everything back together now. And also we have a ICT billet Optima mounting bracket that we were going to put in the trunk. I haven't decided if I want to use Velcro, double-sided Velcro to mount it, because it comes with a, not a template, but it's mounted by I think 6 or 7 bolts, but I don't know if I want to drill into the car or not. Might have to, but obviously want to avoid those situations if you can. But yeah, let's keep at it. Alright, to touch bases, the battery relocation was just ran throughout the car, and then now I'm going to show where I mounted it in the engine compartment and then in the trunk. It is finished. At this point the car is done and everything, and this is a long time after making the first part of the video, but I want to make sure it was complete so that if anyone does this, it's kind of like not a tutorial, but it's something that you can reference off of, and if you want to improve your own way, you can do so, and obviously just resource it for information or data. So I mounted the breaker like terminal, the bus bar terminal, onto the strut tower. And I'm going to show that here in a second. It's behind the catch can, but I did have to drill into the strut tower and then use like a rivet gun to essentially just bolt it in there. There's probably better ways to do it. I was short on time and I was getting frustrated, so I just kind of did that. It is what it is. It's been fine for a couple months now, and it looks tidy. It's just knowing that you drilled into the car, and I don't like doing that. I say that a lot in my videos, but I got the 2-bar bus terminal that I'm about to show you off of Amazon. It was like 10 bucks, and then I just made the cables and then crimped them on with a hydraulic crimper. You can get that on Amazon too. And then ran the lines, not the lines, the wires, I'm tired, from the starter to here, no, from the alternator to here, and then from the battery terminal, and then like the key ignition switch, which is already that clump of wires that were pre-assembled. If you want a tutorial on how to do that, just let me know in the comments, and then I'll make a separate video. It's intimidating. It's very intimidating. But here is the bus bar terminal. So it is, here's the fuse box obviously, and then that's my oil filter relocation. And then it's just mounted, like catch can, it's mounted here and it's just bolted in via these 2 holes right here. And then these just screw off, but it's a protector. The only thing I don't like about it is the top up here is exposed, and these are live right now. But then it's just routed through here with heat shrink and like a 90 bend on it. And then now we come back to the boot, open it, and then I did end up having to drill and riv nut in the Optima mount. I only did 4 out of, I think, I want to say 6 or 8 bolts that mount to it, and it's been perfectly fine. I've been driving it like crazy and taking corners pretty good, and it hasn't moved at all. So I did make I designed a 3D print mount on obviously CAD, and then used my 3D printer to mount it to existing holes. No, I think I did have, no, it is existing holes, so that way I didn't have to drill into the, I actually don't remember. Either way, I designed the mount. If you want the file, I'll sell it to you, or I can print it and then sell it to you. For comments, let me know. But I think I used existing holes. I really want to say I used existing holes. and then just mounted a negative to it. The fuel relay is obviously connected to the circuit breaker on the fused side, or on the circuit side, so that way if it opens, it's not gonna short out because it would still have power, so it's on the open side. And I'll explain that here in a second because it's probably not making sense, and I apologize. So power, obviously positive, and then there's the power positive, and then obviously this is just straight battery power, and everything that pulls a load is on this side, so that way if it trips, it just pops this. And then, I mean, I could break it right now too, which makes it really nice. But I really want to say that I want to say that these are existing holes. Maybe the bottom one isn't, but I think this one is. And yeah, I do need to mount the fuse for the fuel relay, but yeah, easy. And then just there's already existing ground there, just make a ground, and that's it, nice and tidy. And then the wire goes all the way through there. It's zip tied out of the way, I think. I don't think it is. I meant to do that and I forgot, whatever. And then obviously it's going through there. There is a little section in that back right there, that you need to, it's exposed like a sheet metal like this. I just use vacuum hose. What's his name? I think his name is Justin, something GTR. He has a single turbo series, and I got that reference off of him. But you can use also, it's called extrusion, and it's just meant for like metal edges, and it just pops down on and like retains there. So that's what I used for that. So that way it's not cutting into the cable. And I'm sure that over time I will update this and try to do a better way, because I wasn't in a rush, but had a deadline. So I just needed to get it done to the point. It's not perfect, but it just needs to work. I know what it's there, and I know how it ran, so it works. And it's been like 2 months and I haven't had an issue, so it's probably fine. But if you made it this far, again, thank you so much for watching, and to the next part of the Turbo Series build. Have a good night.